According to Walton's admission, he was born in Wilkes County near a town known as Pistol. His criminal history began in 1890 when he confessed to killing a horse. 6 years later, he claimed to have murdered and robbed a man in Blasburg, Alabama. However, subsequent police investigations failed to confirm the existence of such a crime, and Walton was not pursued by law enforcement. In 1902, while in Joliet, Illinois, Walton married Edith Hanna, who would eventually become his victim. Their marriage was short-lived as they separated for about 2 years. In August 1904, Walton requested Hanna to reconcile, but upon her refusal, he traveled to her Chicago address and fatally shot her. Hanna passed away 3 days later without regaining consciousness. Walton fled the scene and managed to evade arrest once again. Following this, Walton attacked an unnamed man in Joliet who seemed to have ties to Hanna, but the man survived. Aware that his act against Hanna was known by those acquainted with them in Chicago, Walton fled the area, briefly considering informing the Chicago police before disappearing again. Although the police investigated Hanna's murder and interrogated the current residents of her address, they couldn't definitively confirm Walton as the perpetrator. Using the alias Frank Harris, Walton traveled to Raton, New Mexico. However, fearing recognition or capture, he changed course and adopted the name Frank Johnson in Gallup. In 1906, Walton was involved in robbing a stranger in Youngstown, Ohio. In July of the same year, while passing through Shippenville, Pennsylvania, he learned that Marion Blue and a few others were planning to rob him. Upon encountering Blue on the road, Walton, fearing for his safety, fired 3 to 4 shots at him, resulting in Blue's death several months later. Continuing his travels, Walton arrived in Steubenville, Ohio, where he met Mamie Gill from Roanoke, Virginia. Pretending to be married, they stayed at Mrs. Brown's house in Steubenville. Walton then took Gill on a trip to Crow Hollow, expecting some form of gain. They spent 3 to 4 days there with another man whom Gill had previously lived with. On the night of November 16th or 17th, after a day filled with arguments, Walton, in a fit of jealousy, brutally assaulted Gill. Later that night, as they returned from a walk, their fight escalated, leading Walton to knock Gill down and fatally injure her in a moment of heated violence. He confessed to wearing heavy shoes that day and accidentally causing her fatal injury to the heart. Upon realizing the gravity of his actions, Walton carried Gill's body for about half a mile before hiding it in bushes along the riverbank, where it was supposedly washed away by the water. In a panic, Walton fled the country for a period following this incident. Walton reappeared in Gypsy, West Virginia following the murder of Beulah Martin on March 3, 1908. Walton faced a pursuit by a posse consisting of approximately 400 individuals after she refused his advances for intimacy. Fleeing the nearby hills, he sought refuge but was eventually cornered in a barn. During the standoff that ensued, Walton defended himself against the enraged mob for 2 days, causing serious injury to 3 individuals. However, when Sheriff Flanagan issued a threat to detonate the barn, Walton promptly surrendered, realizing the gravity of the situation. Following his death sentence for the murder of Martin, Walton proceeded to confess to his prior crimes and killings. As his execution date neared, he underwent baptism in jail, displaying signs of remorse for his actions. On the day of his execution, despite his imposing stature and seemingly composed demeanor, Walton had to be supported by Captain Joseph Bloyd and Warden Dawson due to his unsteady footing. Despite appearing nearly expressionless, reporters present noted a distinct anguish and turmoil in his eyes. After Reverend Sanford concluded the condemned man's prayer, Warden Dawson initiated the mechanism and the trap doors opened. Walton's passing was relatively painless, having lost consciousness before the rope tightened, although it resulted in a broken neck and vertebrae. Once Dr. Boone, the attending medical professional, confirmed Walton's demise, 2 inmates carried his body away for burial preparations. It is assumed that Walton's remains were interred in the prison cemetery. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing by clicking the red subscribe button below. And don't forget to ring that notification bell so you never miss an update. Your support means the world to us. Please give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.